أعوذ بالله السميع العليم من الشيطان اللعين الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. صلى الله عليك يا سيدي يا مولاي يا رسول الله. صلى الله عليك وآل بيتك المظلومين الغر الميامين المنتجبين. صلى الله عليك يا سيدي يا مولاي يا أبا عبد الله. صلى الله عليك وعلى ابن أخيك القاسم ابن الحسن وعلى المستشهدين بين يديك. سادتي يا ليتنا كنا معكم فنفوز فوزا عظيما. قال الله العظيم في محكم كتابه الكريم: بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. من المؤمنين رجال صدقوا ما عاهدوا الله عليه. Sending a gift for the masters of this world, the Ahlul Bayt alayhim afdalus salatu wassalam. Recite a loud salawat. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa Muhammad. Who is Al-Qasim ibn al-Hasan? Who is this legendary martyr that after 1,400 years, millions of people around the world gather to remember him, to listen to his story, to take lessons from him and to mourn him, to beat their chests for him? Who is Al-Qasim ibn al-Hasan? Al-Qasim ibn al-Hasan, salamullahi alayhi, who was only around 13 years old. For a 13-year-old, what are the qualities that 13-year-old kids have? The characteristics that they have. I'll mention just briefly about these characteristics. Number one, usually kids, the way they see this life, they see it like a playground. It's where you just have fun. I was watching a child on TV and they asked him, "What do you do? Do you have any rules?" You know what the child says? He was probably 12 years old. He said, "Yes, I do. I've got two rules. Rule number one, always have fun. And rule number two, listen to rule number one." So what they like to do all the time, the kids, to just have fun. This is the way they see this life. The only thing to do is to just have fun. What is the next quality? Kids, they don't have patience. They don't have sabr, right? If you tell them just wait, for example, they're hungry, and you tell them wait, for example, the mother says, "I'm cooking the food," but the kids, they just can't handle it. They don't have patience most of the time, right? Number three, they only see what's in front of them. Isn't that right, kids? This is how kids are. They don't look far ahead. For example, if your father's, your dad, he takes you to an invitation, a respected invitation, and they're offering different types of food, healthy food. But the child, they see junk food in front of them. They just want to eat the junk food. That's it. The father says, just wait for a little bit, we're going to be there. It's much better. But they just see what's in front of them. They don't look far ahead. Isn't that right? Number 4. When kids want to fight, what do? They're very serious in fighting. Sometimes, when they're out there, that's it. They go to the end. They start fighting and fighting and fighting without mercy. Isn't that true? Exactly. They don't just take their right. For example, sometimes, this is not all kids, but generally, sometimes, if another child comes to a child and they slap them, for example, they hit them, the child wants to kill them, basically. They hit them and they keep on hitting them. They don't take their right. They don't have mercy. Number 5, you can't reason with them because they have not much aql. So, these are some of the qualities of kids. Now the kids, they've got good qualities as well. But generally, these qualities are attributed to kids. Now, in Karbala, in Ashura, there was men who were beside Imam Hussein, and there was also kids. There was also children. How were these children? For example, Al-Qasim. He was only around 13 years old. Another kid, was his brother. His name was Abdullah ibn al-Hassan, who was probably around only 11 years old. How did they act? Imagine one of you is in a place, is in Karbala, in that time where there is an army of monsters, people who have no mercy surrounding you. You'd be afraid. What's going on? What are we going to do? Isn't that right? On the night of Ashura, the eve of Ashura, you know what happened? Imam Hussein told his companions that you will all be martyred. You will all be killed tomorrow. You know what they said? Did they say, no, I still want to live? No, they said, thank God, alhamdulillah, that we are honored to be killed for you, to be martyred. They were men. Al-Qasim was also there. He heard that Imam Hussein said that the enemy will also come and attack the tents and attack the camps. So Al-Qasim said to his uncle, as narrated, will I be also killed? Because Imam Hussein also said that they will also murder my infant Abdullah al-Radi'. They will also kill Abdullah al-Radi', who was only a 6-month-old baby. So Al-Qasim was thinking to himself, right? That if they will kill Ali al-Asghar, if they will kill the infant, will I still be alive? So he asks Imam al-Hussein that, وَأَنَا مِمَّنْ يُقْتَالِ, will I be also killed? So Imam al-Hussein tells him, how do you find death? Ya ibn akhi. Right? So Al-Qasim, if one of you, for example, if I ask you, how do you find death? Do you like death? Do you like to die? No one likes to die. Death is not nice, right? So Imam al-Hussein asks Qasim, who was young, who was still a child, he asks him, how do you find death? Al-Qasim says, Feek ashha min al-asal. If I die for you, it's sweeter than a honey. If it's for you, I love death. They were all men, but even Qasim, who was a child, he considers himself to be a man. He's a man. On the day of Ashura, when the enemy, when they had finished killing the companions of Imam al-Hussein, when they even murdered Imam al-Hussein's son, Ali al-Akbar, one of the people who came was Al-Qasim. He approached his uncle and he asked permission to go and fight. Imam al-Hussein did not give permission to him. Imam al-Hussein was close to Al-Qasim. You know why? Firstly, because Al-Qasim was the remains of his brother. He was an orphan. When Imam al-Hassan passed away, Al-Qasim was around 3 years old. He was a child. He grew in his uncle Imam al-Hussein's house. Imam al-Hussein was like a father to him. So he was an orphan. So Al-Qasim comes and asks permission to go and fight. Imam al-Hussein says no. So then, you know what Al-Qasim does? He doesn't say, okay, thank you so much, thank you. That's it, I'm not gonna go and fight. Imam al-Qasim pleads to Imam al-Hussein. He begs Imam al-Hussein to give him permission. He starts kissing his hands. Imam al-Hussein starts hugging him. They hug each other. They start crying until they fall unconscious. They faint. So then Imam al-Hussein gives him permission to go and fight until he begs him. Al-Qasim begs him to go and fight. He gives him permission. They also say that Imam al-Hussein took his amama, he sliced it in half, he sliced it in quarter, and he wore the amama on his head. He was young, he was still a child. He's not a man to go and fight. And he gives him a sword. And they say that when the women saw Al-Qasim, they thought it was Imam al-Hassan, revived from his martyrdom to come and help Imam Hussein. So then Al-Qasim goes. He starts fighting. He starts fighting. قاتل قتال الأبطال. He starts fighting not like a man. He starts fighting like warriors. قاتل قتال الأبطال. He doesn't care for all these thousands of people who are there to fight. He doesn't care. Courageous. He starts fighting until one of his sandals, his shoe, break. So he goes down to fix it. He doesn't care. If it was someone else, they'd probably be afraid. He doesn't care for all of them. He just leans down to fix his sandal. And then one of those enemies come and they say that I would want to kill him. They said that he said, I want Imam Hussein to sit down and cry for him. He was a monster. And the odd thing is that usually, have you seen in movies, when two people want to fight, they say to each other, one of them says to each other, fight like a man. What does this mean? Face me. Come out and face me. Don't just backstab me. And yet these people, they had no qualities of a man. They were adults, male adults. But they had the qualities of a monster, not like a man. While Al-Qasim was laying down, he was busy with fixing his shoes. This person comes and he strikes them on his head. Like Amir al-Mu'mineen when he was praying and Ibn Muljam comes and he strikes Amir al-Mu'mineen on his head. Not when he's in a battle, he fights with him. He knows that Amir al-Mu'mineen is courageous. He can't beat him. So while he was praying, he strikes him. The other person on the day of Ashura, Abdullah ibn al-Hasan. You know, Al-Qasim and Abdullah ibn al-Hasan, they are role models for us. Us men, we learn from them. When Imam al-Hussein fell to the ground on the day of Ashura, Abdullah ibn al-Hasan, who was younger than Qasim, he sees Imam al-Hussein and he tries to go to Imam Hussein and to save him. His aunt, Sayyidah Zainab, tries to not let him to go, but he just goes. He runs away from her to the battlefield. So Abdullah ibn al-Hasan goes to the battlefield, comes to his uncle Imam al-Hussein, and there's an enemy who comes and tries to kill Imam al-Hussein while he's on the ground. So Abdullah ibn al-Hasan stands in front of him and he says, أَتَقْتُلَ عَمِّي يَبْنَ الْخَبِيثَ? Are you trying to kill my uncle, O son of evil woman? So the guy doesn't have any mercy. Even though the child doesn't have any weapons to defend himself, to fight like a man, he raises his sword and strikes Abdullah ibn al-Hasan. So Abdullah ibn al-Hasan holds his hands to protect himself and he cuts his arm. So Abdullah ibn al-Hasan sees his uncle and he says, قَطَعُوا يَمِينِي. So Imam al-Hussein tells him, Sabran, have patience. Allah will make you with your forefathers. So then they say that they started hugging each other, but the enemy, they couldn't handle the scene. So they raise an arrow and they shoot Abdullah ibn al-Hasan, killing him in his uncle's laps. No sign of manhood. From one side, you find men, courageous, people who take responsibility, people who do what's right. These are the qualities of men. Probably Omar and Shimr and these people who were like Omar and Shimr, they used to think that yes, to be a man, you just have to show power. You just have to be powerful. You just have to win. But these are not the qualities of a man. A man is the person that does the right thing. A man is a courageous person. A man is a person who stands with the weak against falsehood. And you can be a man. You kids, you children, you can also be men. You don't have to be adults. When you do the right thing, when you be courageous. A woman can be a man, to have manhood. Also, it is customs, it is one of the traditions that on the night of Al-Qasim, they bring the subject of marriage because they say, it is narrated that Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam married Al-Qasim ibn al-Hasan. Why? Because marriage, ma buniya fil Islam, bina akbar min al-tazweej. And I'm paraphrasing. Marriage is very important in Islam. And it shouldn't be taken lightly. And it shouldn't be an issue. That was just a point, an ishara for marriage. هذا والحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى اللهم على محمد وآله الطيبين الطاهرين.